to paraphrase a certain footballing event from 1966. Is it all? Is the music all over? It is now. Bienvenue. Welcome to IPSA Kind of Magic, the show set up by Hamish McClay and myself to help promote all things IPSA. Oh, IPSA, you say? What could that be? IPSA, the Association of Independent Personal Search Agents, of which our esteemed guest Val Bennett is one. Hamish McClay is the current chairman of said illustrious organization, and we talk about all things to do with searching and also data, and ever more so, it should be said. Today's topic is the data is there, yet getting to it ain't easy. Hamish, would you start us off?
Well, yes. Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon to all. A strange scenario. The malady is sort of such that in this wonderful day of information and data being readily available, is where you get the right information. I mean, we know full well, actually, if you ask a particular question of Google or even sort of Chat GPT, you'll get thrown at somebody who's probably paid the most for the advertising. I mean, that is sort of something or other. However, when we're trying to extract information held by local councils, we don't really get any help at all. It's a combination, actually, and it's the usual sort of problem. You could have no access whatsoever to the important information, or there's too much information. And you've got to try and build up sort of in between those. And I think it's raised its sort of its ugly head, particularly again now, because of the way that councils seem to be going. And it's very political, of course, at the moment. And this isn't meant to be a political podcast. However, what goes on politically does impact upon us. And one of the biggest challenges we actually sort of have is the efforts of the government, and I can't remember whether our illustrious sort of guys in the Conservative Party were also trying to do this, creating unitary authorities. Because by creating unitary authorities, they, instead of the smaller local authorities where you could be looked after, and we could as individuals, as members of IPSA, for all of those years, Val in particular, going back even before the turn of the century, could actually get to know and speak to all these individual people. Once it becomes a unitary authority, it combines together and we lose that local expertise of individuals, because the big thing about it, instead of being looking after people more effectively, it's a larger number, like 500,000 people. That's 500,000 people they want the council size to be, or 100,000. Or 150,000, as some of them used to be. Some of them would even be slightly smaller. So we're losing experts in there, but we're also losing ways of access because they're trying to combine all of this stuff together. And if one or two of them don't work, I know some, for example, that Val tries to get hold of the information for, it's absolute hell now compared to what it used to be. Coupled alongside of that, some councils are actually obstructive too, and I'll cover this a little bit later. I'll speak about the obstructiveness, but it's often to do with certain parts of that information where the councils are now trying to get some money out of us for information that should be readily available. But
in the early 1990s, under John Major, the first Conservative government started the first unitary authorities. More were created from 1992 to 1995, and then later under Blair they expanded still further, Blair Brown. So there you got a tiny bit of history there. So it's their fault, really. Val, welcome to the show as ever. The search for data, to misquote Lewis Carroll, water everywhere but not a drop to drink. It seems to be the same with data.
Yeah, and how many rabbit holes can you go down? You know, because you go down one, which leads you to another, etc., etc. Yeah, I mean, when you said the turn of the century, my gosh, that is a very true thing, isn't it? So back in the olden days, yeah, we used to make appointments at the council. We'd go and attend at their at the time of their choosing, and we go to all the different departments and we could get the information.
Obviously, you had to avoid the dinosaurs on the way in when you were doing that. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Down the old slate stairs and light a gas thing on the way down, and you talk.
In your Flintstone car. Yes.
Yeah. That was it. That was Eden Council, that going down there with literally like a lighted torch. That was Eden, that. Terrible. But you would go and you would go there, and they would give you the information. Then they decided to increase the prices for land charges, not once but twice, but I think 3 times. So now they were getting quite a lot of money now, and they liked the extra bit of power, and they were okay. But then obviously HMLR came along, and everybody's thinking, yeah, well, we didn't like it, then we did like it. And we thought, yeah, this will be much better. And all the solicitors think, oh, this is brilliant. We can get a search in an instant now, without realizing that actually you can get a quarter of the information of your search, but the other 3/4 is still held by the powers that be at the council offices. And they do like to have their power of saying when you can and cannot access that information. Some councils, there's one in particular, we have to send 5 emails to 5 different departments to get the 5 sources of information that we want. So, it doesn't sound too much, but then you get 5 emails back at varying time levels. Then you get other councils, such as, I'll give you Liverpool. Liverpool was one of the first to go HMLR. And it's all good HMLR, it's fine. Until you realise that the building regs is held in Garstang Library, nowhere else. It's not online, there is no access online. So you have to make an appointment for Garstang Library to go and access the computer that was the turn of the century, which will then give you building regs.
Yeah, hang on, make sure you have to feed the mouse cheese first, just to keep the spinning wheels going.
Put the floppy disk in, literally. And I mean, this is Liverpool, it's a major city in this country. Yeah. This is how they operate. Then you go and then you can get building regs up to 2019. Now at 2019, something clearly broke, because now then we have to email building regs and say, what have you got since 2019 to date? So that's 2 different ways of accessing different information, but one as a whole. And then, for instance, you've got the highways at Liverpool. Again, it's not online. A lot of companies wrongly like to use Find My Street. I'm sure you know Find My Street, Hamish.
Oh, yes.
We all thought that was going to be wonderful. They said, we'll carry all the data, all the highways information for every authority. It was a good idea, but you can't zoom in, so you can't see. They only let you go so far in, so you kind of got to do a bit of guesswork.
That's rubbish.
But then you get something like where it's blatantly wrong, such as Liverpool. The information is not right on there, but a lot of search agents believe it to be true. And this is why we go to Liverpool at the library, and we have to look at all the maps of the highways to get the correct information. We have some clients who have they're platform companies, so they ask us to do searches. So we do them for them. But their staff, in their wisdom, rightly so, will then check what we give them, the answer. They ask us to do it, but then they'll check it. And then many times they come back to us and they go, yeah, but your highways is wrong. No, it's not. Yeah, it is, because Find My Street says this. Yeah, well, Find My Street isn't right, but they believe it to be right. So then you've got issues then over who is right. And I know I'm right, because we've been to the council and we've got their information. So then it becomes dangerous then, because I say some companies I do know will use Find My Street, and they're getting wrong information. It's not just Liverpool, it's other councils as well. So you've got that issue to start with, and then you've got the issue where the councils go, well, we're going to charge you. You've got to pay. If you want the info, even though rightly so it should be free, then you've got to pay for it, such as building regs. Nottingham is a prime example. Always have charged for building regs. Always. There's no other way. Oops.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, it shows that this is live. Hamish.
Yes, Val is live. We'll see. Oh, she's streaming
No,
back.
we'll get her back as soon as we can.
However, it does demonstrate. I mean, I love this is one of the great things about having Val sort of on here. And of course, this was initially set up to sort of go out to IPSA members, but we know now the discussions go far beyond just those members of IPSA, our Association of Independent Property Search Agents, because it is so easy to get the wrong information and this is why we rely so much on the likes of Val and so many other people within our organization, because as we know, it's a voluntary organization, and we look and speak to the local experts to get that information. Now, if somebody doesn't know how Liverpool operates, they're going to use the Find My Street as their sort of Bible information because that's what it said. So that's that. No, it's not the case at all. And this is one of the massive challenges that we actually sort of have, because our councils, even the ones that we know, can change overnight. Now, all of a sudden, for example, we've got Luton Council now. There are two areas particularly which are the worst for trying to get hold of that information. One of them is highways, as Val explained. So there's no other way other than actually that really it's the maps that make the difference. And if people don't digitize the maps, which they could very easily and put them online, but they've chosen not to for whatever reason. And building regulations are exactly the same kind of thing. So what we've got is a situation now, we've just, Luton, for example, we used to have a great working relationship with the land charges officer. Now, what has happened, he's defunct, and no longer can we access that particular department by phone. We've got to send emails. And if you say, look, we could do with this information, and they say, okay, but no, they don't even say okay. Basically, you get no response whatsoever. When you chase them up, they say, hey, look, we don't want you phoning us up because if you phone us up, you're going to slow down our response. Yeah, but I need that information. Well, we're working on it. How soon can we have the information? We don't know. It depends. But if people keep phoning us up, we can't work on it properly. Rather than turning around and say, it will be with you in approximately 15 working days or 10 working days, they can't even do that. And we still have, and when you think about this is quite damaging, sort of, really. This is without some of them, the unitary authorities, which are still about to develop. We've got locally unitary authorities about to sort of come on board. There are so many, if you like, sort of employees of councils still working from home.
Right.
And when you actually sort of consider it, we, if you like, the sort of the big wide business world is trying to get their employees back in, but the council, no, they're quite happy to stay at home doing it. And then that does restrict the council. So as Val was explaining, not only has it been a challenge, and has it changed with so many of them, there is absolutely no consistency out of the currently 300. It was 317. I don't know if we've had any more unitary authorities, but land registers themselves, when we were speaking to those, I did ask to explain to me what they thought it might. They suggested we might eventually have just 250 local authorities, and they're not exactly. It used to be a local authority. It's now unitary, and that is no way local.
No, it isn't. And it seems to me, Val, that trying to fight for the information, you'd have thought it would be easier by now.
You would. I mean, as Hamish was just saying, you might phone up, something's urgent, a client needs to exchange, whatever. Some councils, don't get me wrong, are amazing. They're incredible. They will turn it round on a spot for you, even if you think, oh no, I don't think we can get this done. And they surprise me sometimes that they will do it. it's always been a case of if you're nice with the councils, they will most of the time be nice to you. It's when
Right.
we've had in the past, it's when we've had some companies that decide to come and upset the apple cart, and then it upsets it for everybody because we remember those days as well. But yeah, and I say the charging, I believe that's starting to become a little bit more increased now that more and more councils are going, hang on, we're going to charge you for this. And if I can just say, with regard to like unitaries and things like that, that's where you get also some councils where they pay, such as Lancashire, for instance. So all the councils that are within Lancashire, so it's not a unitary, but the council, Lancashire, runs the highways. They have all the information with regard to highways, schemes, etc. But they charge the council for that information for the searches. And then they then in turn, when we want that information, they want to charge us for it because they don't think we should just have that or entitled to that information. So you've kind of got another bit. And if you get more unitaries, I'm not sure then if you're going to get more of these highways departments that are going to kind of just be, wanting to make their own extra bit as well.
It does seem to me incredible that in this day and age, when we have theoretically the technology that if we could gather the data there, we should be able to share it, gain access to it quickly. There is still a fight going on to get the right information to the right people at the right time. And as Hamish, you've told me several times before, it's not just about getting all the information, it's about getting the right information. So, Hamish, would you care to sum up?
Right. I mean, it has become evident sort of yet again, and it's just a reminder to people that this is not a straightforward process. You cannot press a button and get that information back, no matter what anybody says.
Maybe in a few years.
Unless you are very, very lucky. And on occasions, like Val said, some councils have really got it wrapped up, and there is so much information there, and it's the right information, and it's accurate. But of course, the trouble is, as these councils become larger and larger, because they become unitary. I mean, take, for example, and we'll try and remember this, at this particular sort of point in time, should you want the South Oxfordshire search? Or should you actually sort of want a Vale of the White Horse search? We could obtain that information within a matter of a couple of hours. We could do it instantly, but of course, what we need to do is refine that information. So to refine it, we could do that. But of course, you can't be doing that sort of, you don't just sit there waiting for information to come through. You have to work at it in time. But it does demonstrate now, those two councils are about to be swallowed up into some kind of unitary authority, whether they're linked up with Oxford, whether they're linked up with sort of West Berkshire, which seems, hang on, Berkshire's Berkshire, Oxfordshire's, well, they can do what the hell they like with these councils, because West Berkshire's a small council, and so too could some of the others be argued to be compared to like the size that Val sort of mentioned. So it'll be interesting to see. At the moment, that information is readily available. Will it be once they become unitary? It will be interesting to find out. But this is the challenge with this information. And sadly, as Val explained, they're starting to apply charges. Now, some of the workers at these councils realise that the charge out rate, one of the things is, within legal terms, councils are permitted to retrieve their costs. They are using charge out rates. I think Braintree used their basis is £110 per hour to retrieve information.
Wow.
Bedford is over 70, between 70 and 80 per hour to retrieve that information, but charges proportionally. They won't necessarily, it shouldn't take an hour, but how on earth they can use that particular sort of basis for their workers? Goodness knows, it's almost as good as solicitors, isn't it?
I was going to say it's in that general direction, and yes, it makes me wonder whether it's almost a deterrent to try and persuade you not to use them.
Well, there's no way out of it, as Val's had explained. There's, Find My Street should be a way of getting highways information, but
Yes.
it's not guaranteed to be accurate.
Or be able to,
Found.
On Find My Street mapping, I think they even put a disclaimer saying, this isn't guaranteed to be right, and we don't promise that it's all going to be good. But then I think it's North Tyneside who, if you go on their website and you say, right, can I have some highways mapping, please? Can I have a look? And they direct you specifically to Find My Street. So the council direct you and say use those maps. But then Find My Street says, oh no, we can't guarantee this is all correct. You can't be using this and giving this information to other people. But the council said you've got it, so the council said you've got it and you've got it, but now you're saying, oh, it might not be right. Again, you've always got that of people going, trying to sort of like, how do you say it? Trying to kind of protect themselves all the time of like, it's not our fault if it's wrong. Oh, it might be wrong, but you've always got all that going on, all these disclaimers everywhere as well.
It's a CYA attitude. Cover your ass.
Yes.
There we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to get
Absolutely.
technical on you, Val. They're using some technical language. Obviously, I can explain it to you later and draw diagrams. Anyway, Hamish, thank you very much, as ever, for bringing such an important topic. I think it's so many times misrepresented in the media that everything is so simple to get information these days. It's all very well, but if the information has got a disclaimer on it saying don't necessarily rely on this, it makes the whole thing a bit wishy-washy, grey and abstract. Thank you once again, Hamish, for bringing this to us. Val Bennett, thank you very much for being on the show. And to all of you out there, particularly my IPSA friends, please take some time. Come and join us. We love a good bun fight. Come and let's talk about all the topics that affect what affects you on a daily basis. We want everyone to understand what they are and perhaps even start a bit of critical thinking so we can think that not outside the box, or why does there have to be a box at all? So until next week, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and please, in these troubled times, look after your mental health. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.